welcome back to my channel. I am so excited for today's video. I'm going to be talking all about living alone in your 20s, what I've learned from it, what you guys should know before you guys decide to live alone, why I think you should experience living alone in your 20s if you ever have the chance, and I'm also going to be answering your guys' questions from Instagram. Also, I've been giving this disclaimer in a lot of videos recently, but in my new apartment, I've kind of just been experimenting with using natural lighting, so it fluctuates. It's a super cloudy day, so the clouds are kind of coming in and out, so if it gets brighter and darker, that's why. Also, if you ever hear noise, it's probably Miss Stormy. She gets really excited when I film for some reason. But yes, I'm so excited. I made a list on my phone of all these things I want to share with you guys today. And yeah, today's video is just going to be really, really great. I've been living alone for a few months now. I really, really loved it, and I feel like I've already learned so much that I want to share with you guys. Really quick, I wanted to thank today's sponsor, Accent Home Security, for working with me on today's video. They have provided me so much peace of mind in this transition of living alone, and I also think that you guys are going to love them. I'm going to talk about them more super soon in the video, but I wanted to give that an intro just because it means so much to me, and Accent Home Security is great. Stormy agrees. Keeps her safe when I'm at school. Okay, so we are starting this video off with the top 8 things that I have learned and want to share with you guys about living alone, things that have helped me. Pretty much just like anything I could think of that I have had the experience of with living alone that I wanted to share with you guys. I wanted to put that out there. So, number 1 is loving to learn my own company, and truly feeling that has been such a huge part of living on my own. I think that kind of sounds like, okay, of course that happens, but you don't realize like how much room you actually have to grow in self-love until you are isolated to yourself. No distractions. You're with yourself 24/7. You're your dinner date, you're your breakfast date, you are your homework date, you go to bed alone, you wake up alone, your apartment space is only cleaned by you. Basically, also kind of grew my self-love in the area of like realizing how much I really can take care of me and do for myself. Little things like I prepare all my meals, I do my laundry, I do everything, which I know that's pretty normal when you live alone, but I don't have somebody else to rely on. Like if I don't do my dishes, my roommate's not going to pick up the slack if I'm having a really busy day. Like that's on me. But it's learning that you really do have like the time and energy and ability to completely take care of yourself and support your life. And I think it's really, really empowering to realize that you don't need anybody else to do all those things that you love to do, and growing in that self-love by really spending that time that otherwise you always are going to have people distracting you. And you know, later in life, I mean, I hope I get married someday and I would live with somebody, and if I ever have future like roommates, like the experience right now is just fully experiencing this area of my 20s where I'm just focused on learning to truly love myself, spend time with myself, and take care of myself. And I think that is a beautiful thing. The second thing that I have learned living alone is that you deserve to feel safe in your own space. Honestly, I was scared all the time back when I had a roommate. Just to give you guys a little timeline if you guys are newer here, I grew up in a family of 6, lived in like a 2-story house with them, moved out to college, did the whole dorm thing. The dorm thing has a lot of security kind of built in, so I wasn't super unsafe feeling there. I moved into an apartment with a roommate last fall. To be honest, I didn't feel super safe a lot of the time. I was nervous every single night, especially being a female living with a female. I was kind of always on edge about, you know, what if someone broke in, whatever could happen, and I didn't really have any backup security for that. And then I moved back home with my family, and then I was preparing to move into this apartment, and I thought, oh, I was a little nervous just because I was always kind of nervous when I had a roommate that something was going to happen at night, or something was just going to happen when I was gone, or whatever the case may be. And so I was like, ooh, how am I going to prepare for that to literally live alone and I don't have somebody to be like, did you hear that? Will you go check the kitchen? Like, it's literally like my security is my own responsibility. So that brings me to today's sponsor, because they are going to help me feel so much more secure and safe in my space. And I want you guys to just realize that like you deserve to have peace of mind in your home. I feel like I'm such a scaredy cat, and it's like the one place I would love to just like completely let my guard down is when I come home after a long day to my space. I just want to be like, everything is good. Also, I'm noticing this is a little bit wrinkled, but that's just real life. Living alone creates busyness, which we will get to. Okay, so I'm gonna go show you guys some of the behind the scenes on like how my devices work and the setup and everything like that, because Accent Home Security seriously helps me feel so secure. Alright, you guys can kind of see a little bit of behind the scenes of the product I got here, and also just the easy setup. The setup for this is honestly so much easier than I was expecting. It also has such great functions. So the door sensor open function, the station alarm function. I'm just able to feel so safe and comfortable with the things that Accent Home Security can do, which I am so grateful for. Okay, so showing you guys how one of these features works. This is my app. You guys can see I have the base station, entry sensor, and motion sensor. So this is my little motion sensor up here. I know it's a little backlit, but it's a good spot for it just because it's discreet. I have it there because obviously right now it says that motion is detected because I'm in here, so I'm not paying attention to it. But if I'm sitting in here watching TV, nothing to worry about. But if I'm gone, this is where people could walk into my apartment. So if that went off my phone, I have the entry sensor and I have that motion detector. So basically if both of those went off, I would know, okay, I should be a little worried. Maybe I should get home. I like Stormy alone here all day. So that's really my #1 priority with security. So having something that tells me if there's motion detected and it's not her, and there is my entry sensor, my door opens, that's when I know it is time to take actions. All right, guys, just a little check-in. I'm in my bathroom now and it says no motion detected because I'm not out there, which again isn't a big deal when I'm home, clearly because it's me. But if I'm gone and it says motion detected, that will be quite the red flag for me. So that's kind of how I can tell using my phone if there's someone in my living room. So I feel safe at night. If I hear a noise out there, I can just check my phone and make sure no one's out there. This security system, as you guys just saw, is just so seriously helpful for also like families, but for me, living alone in this topic of this video, living alone in your 20s, like let's empower ourselves, let's give ourselves that peace of mind, take charge of our security, and Accent's Home Security can help us to get there, which is so fabulous. Also, you guys can check my link down below to learn more about Accent's Home Security, and I want to let you guys know, I'm jumbling over my words, I have a 20% off code, which is 20 grays. All right, let's hop back into my 8 things that I have learned that I want to share. The clouds are moving so much, they're really, you know, keeping you guys on your toes with the lighting of this video. Guys, look how cute. Stormy's just back there sleeping. She's such a queen. Okay, #3, podcasts are so great. I talked about this on one of my Instagram posts I made after I moved in. I've always been like a somewhat podcast listener. Like if I didn't have music I was into at the time, or like bored of my music, or like on a walk, okay, a podcast is great. But you don't realize till you live alone like how great podcasts are. If you currently just ventured into the adventure of living alone in your 20s, you might be like, okay, I feel kind of like it's always quiet. Like all that background noise of living with other people is gone. Podcasts are amazing for it. I love when I'm cooking dinner, when I'm meal prepping, when I'm cleaning. It doesn't have like a distraction element that, you know, watching a YouTube video or whatever can bring. I love to play a podcast, so I'll put a few of my favorite podcasts on the screens, but just off the top of my head, I love Lily Rico's 80/20, I love Gals on the Go, and I'll try to include some in the description box, give you guys those recs, because seriously, it kind of feels like you have company. Like if I'm feeling a little lonely, but also I have stuff to get done, so I can't just go hang out with someone and I need to be home, I just want a podcast and you feel like you have company. Like listening to people talk while I'm doing stuff is great, and it's just like having roommates. So life hack, if you don't want to worry about the complications that having a roommate can bring, just have a digital roommate and just like listen to Gals on the Go, and like you feel like you're part of the conversation. Okay, this next thing I've been experiencing and learning is just that food when you live on your own is so different. There are a few things I want to discuss with the topic of food. #1, buying smaller amounts of food. So you might be like, well, duh, you're not gonna buy like stuff for a family of 6. But I mean, literally, like I make it very particular. I don't give myself a lot of options. That's for 2 reasons: to save money. Well, 3 reasons: save money, not waste food, and I actually eat at home more when I have less options. I figured out. So basically, I will pick like a snack I want to have that week. So like this week, I think I got like salted pistachios, and then I have stuff to make energy balls, and then I have something that I eat for breakfast every day, have something that I eat for lunch every day, whether sometimes I'll give myself the other option of like a side salad, or I can have the other snack, and then for dinner I have like 1 dinner to 2 dinners made for the whole week. I make all that at the beginning of the week. It's all in my fridge, and literally like your fridge becomes your restaurant. Like I don't think I realized for the longest time when I lived at home, like obviously when I lived with my family of 6, we had way more food and food to choose from, and I feel like every night for dinner I was like, I don't know, I might just try to get something, because like I don't know what I want to have. I don't really know what we have, because there's like just so much food. When you have that many people, you have to do that. But when it's just you have such control over your pantry and fridge. It's not overwhelming. Like I look in my fridge and I'm like, do I want a salad, do I want a wrap, or do I want to eat the pasta I pre-made? Like those are the 3 options, and I just quick make them. It's easy, it's done, and it doesn't make mealtime such this big thing that takes up so much time, and budget friendly because you're not buying food that's going to go bad. with that food thing, something that's really helped me is like washing and cooking my food in advance. So a lot of times on Sundays I will make like a dish that I'm gonna have for dinner every night that week. Like I just make a big like normal size serving that's for multiple people because it's just me, so then that's like 5 nights of dinner. And if I have like any fruit or vegetables and stuff, I just pre-wash all that because then I'll be much more likely to just grab that and eat that, if that makes sense. Okay, this next one is that you can still be social. You just have to be social intentionally. So I think a lot of people get this one twisted because I feel at least to me, when I told people I was going to be living alone when I transferred colleges and went to a new school, they thought I was crazy. They thought that was a terrible idea, and they were like, oh, that's great for you, but I could never do it. Like, for one, I want to say I'm an introvert, so I really do recharge on my own, and so living alone makes so much sense for me. But even if you just are like, I need to grow in my self-love, I need to grow in my ability to take care of myself and feel confident in my abilities to be with just me and feel content with just myself and nobody else, and that's why you're being persuaded to try this, you know, once-in-a-lifetime thing. Like, living alone in your 20s is just so romanticized. Your fear might be, okay, I'm an extrovert, I need to see people. I know it's not revolutionary, but like, you can still see people. I have to be purposely intentional with it personally, just because I am an introvert. So like, I could easily pass a week and not see anybody and I wouldn't see a problem with it, but I know it's good for me to be around people, and it's good to build those connections, because that's an important part of the human experience, is like building relationships with others and growing relationships with others, which is such a beautiful part of existing. So that's why I'm intentional with it. But either way, like, you still can see people. I, a few days a week, try to go get coffee with somebody. I try to see my friend, like, go over to her house a few times a week. You still can, you basically at this point just have complete control. You don't have to see someone 24/7 of your day when you're trying to get stuff done, but you could have people over seriously every night if you're an extrovert and that recharges you. Like, that's great. And it's also amazing because you don't have roommates, so if you want to have people over every night, like if my friends go to other schools, whatever the case may be, want to come up and visit, I'm like, you can stay at my place, which is such a great part of living alone. Like, it's all on you, so like, you can literally hang out with people as much as you want because no one's going to be at your apartment annoyed with you for having people over. Okay, I kind of touched on this with my first topic, but I want to go into it more. So just about learning so much living alone. Like I said, this is one of the #1 reasons I think people should do this, because what, in your 20s, you're kind of coming into yourself and learning about yourself, but throughout that you're also growing, and living alone gives yourself the opportunity to grow without extreme influence from others. Because when you live with someone and you're around them that much, you're going to slowly develop traits that they have. That's just how it is also anyways, just this circle that you surround yourself with. But it's kind of an opportunity where, like, you're not living with your parents, you're not living with your siblings, friends, significant other, whoever it may be. No one else gets to have that like extreme influence over your life, because you're just with yourself so much of the time, which I think is really beautiful, because that's how you figure out who you really are at the core and what your beliefs personally actually are, and different things as you can learn to love being alone. Maybe you're somebody that the thought of being alone terrifies you. This could be such an opening experience, an empowering one. You can be comfortable doing things without anyone else. I am someone who's always loved like going to coffee shops or going to get dinner or going to study alone, but I know a lot of people that's a scary thing. But when you put yourself in the situation of living with nobody else, you're forced to kind of develop those traits pretty quickly, and you will get comfortable with it. Do what you actually want to do. Like, my days, I can plan completely around myself. Random things with having a roommate, sometimes I feel like I didn't think about when I've had a few roommates in the past, is like, your schedules in some ways are gonna have to match up just to like live with each other without stepping all over each other's toes. Because, for example, like if I want to wake up at 5 a.m. one day and I want to go like cook in my kitchen and I want to vacuum because I just like am in that mood at literally 5 in the morning, I can do that. If I want to have a day where I sleep in, say it's Sunday and I've had a super productive week, like I can literally sleep in and just chill as long as I want. There's not gonna be any noise disturbing me or lights or like somebody coming in and talking. Like, you literally have dictation over your entire schedule, which I think is amazing, because for me personally, I feel so much more productive being like, I can do what I want when I need to do it, and nothing's gonna come in the way of that because I have complete control. And with that, it's just easy to create your own habits. Like, I have been trying to form these different habits. I've been reading a habits book by Jen Sincero, and I want to grow these different ones, and I found that it's actually just so much easier doing them here, because like I said, like, nothing's gonna come up that's gonna get in the way of that habit building thing you were gonna do. Like, it's literally just you, so you have time and you have control over your time. And being alone, let me just emphasize again, does not mean being lonely. It is so beautiful to be alone, and I want you guys to be able to grow in the experience of enjoying your own self. I'm scooching back a little bit just so you guys can see Stormy because she looks so cute. But the next thing is budgeting becomes so important. Dollar bills, y'all. Like, money is no joke, and I know that's a lot of thing that scares a lot of people from living alone, and I will not lie, it is much more expensive than living with other people. I mean, first of all, you're not splitting your rent in half, you're not splitting your utilities in half, you're not splitting your Wi-Fi in half, you're not splitting groceries like some people do in half. Literally, it's all you, but also all those things are within your own control. So, you know, when you pick a lease, you get to sign a lease with the money amount you feel comfortable with. You can decide what you want to have your air on. You can decide if you leave your lights on when you leave or if you turn them off. Things like that. Like, you do have control, but budgeting, I'm not going to even... There's really no way to make it so that it's like, oh, it's the same price. Like, no, living alone is going to be more expensive, but to me, it's an investment in self-growth and yourself and self-care towards, like, my life. Like, I know I recharge being by myself, and this is an experience I wanted, so I'm willing to, for me, putting that money energy out there is worth the energy I'm getting back from this experience that I've always wanted, if you guys catch my flow with that. So, growing your confidence and growing confidence in your ability to manage your money is also such a big part of it, because it is, like I said, like, no one's gonna come in and save the day and like pay half that utility bill. Like, you're paying that whole thing. Nobody's going to, you know, be like, I know some people who, like, if they pay their rent a month late, their roommates are like, no big deal, like, you'll just pay us back next month. Like, no, it's all on you. You have to do everything on time. You're the one in control of it. And I think that's a beautiful thing, because it grows confidence in you that you can do it and that you can manage your money well, because you guys, like, in our 20s, like, it's all about these kinds of things. We want to learn to be financially independent and be able to control ourselves when it comes to money and budget and manage our finances. And that is such a big part of living alone, that you're going to really grow confidence, because you have really no other choice, because you have to pay those bills. And I think that is a great learning thing. Okay, my last little piece of just thoughts I have had about living alone that I want to share with you guys, advice, whatever you want to call it, is that for me personally, having a pet has been crucial. Stormy is back here, my lovely bean. You guys know she's like in my videos constantly, and I think that there are some factors. I want to make a whole video about choosing to get a pet. Specifically, I think a video about a cat would be great, because I have the personal experience of having my own cat. And I got her when I moved out into my first ever apartment when I had a roommate. And for me, it is so comforting to have an animal. Like I said, I'm an introvert, and I like to make my own schedule and do my own thing and run my life how I want to, especially at like this little stage I'm in right now of just being, you know, 20 years old and in college. I think it's really great that I can do that. But I do think that having a pet emotionally is so good for me, because something that I definitely have experienced, just open and honesty, I want to share all parts of living alone, is that spirals can definitely happen. Like, I have, especially in the beginning before I started getting used to really being here, and it still happens a lot, especially at nights. I'm not used to being alone from like the time I wake up, and besides like my little time I go to class, if I don't see friends that day, like, I just come home and I'm home working and stuff, and I'm distracted, and then I get ready for bed, and like, I'm just alone that entire night until I fall asleep. And so that's a really easy time period when you have nobody around you to distract you, to fall into like overthinking and, you know, just spirals of hyper focusing on something. But what really helps me personally so much is having Stormy and being able to pet Stormy. She's really calming for me. Sleeping with her, I will say, the first time I ever moved out, I had never experienced having a hard time sleeping. Usually I'm actually somebody who, if I'm stressed or anxious, I will just sleep in a like ridiculous amount. Like, I cope with stress by going to bed, which is, I know, kind of weird. Most people are the opposite, but that's kind of how it is for me. I wish this lighting would have been here the whole video anyways. But I realized the first time I moved out, when I lived in a dorm for like a year, it was actually really hard for me to sleep through the night. I'd wake up within like panics, and I know this is not for everybody, but I just wanted to share my personal experience that like I had a really hard time staying asleep and not waking up in panics about where I was or if I was safe, things like that often. And I think that could probably escalate for someone living alone. I haven't had to do that completely alone because I have Stormy now, and I'm so glad I got her. So if you have experienced some of that when you've lived with other people and you're scared to do that alone, like if you have issues sleeping or overthinking, things like that, maybe just look into the option of getting a pet, because it has been such a positive thing for me. Stormy is my favorite part of my life. I love her like literally more than anything in my life. I love having her to take care of. I love having her to, you know, rub her back before bed and have her sleep next to me, and just it's been so peaceful for me to have her with me, and I'm so thankful that she is here. And I definitely want to do a whole video on it because it's a very complex decision. I'm not saying this, you guys are like, oh, I'm gonna get my own apartment and I'm gonna buy a dog. Like, it is so much responsibility to have a pet. It is huge financial and time responsibility, and it's gonna suck so much of both of those resources up. For me, it's so worth it. So comment down below if you guys want a video on all the financial aspects of getting a pet and all of the time, just like everything. Let me know. She's waking up right now, but I feel like I have pretty good experience. I've had her for about a year now. So yes, if you guys want more information on that, because I don't want to just be like, buy an animal. I think it's one of the hugest responsibilities you can put on yourself, and I don't think it should be a decision you make lightly. But I'm here to talk about what has really helped me, and having Stormy has really made the transition to living alone great. You guys see her little tail? She's sitting in my window. Okay guys, now for a rapid fire time, we are going to be talking all the questions you guys sent in on Instagram. I actually picked some out. If you guys want me to talk about more of these, I am going to be launching a podcast very soon, and I could do a whole episode expanding on the things I talked about in this video and kind of going more in detail. But I like to keep my YouTube videos kind of a fair length, so we're going to get through this. Number 1, tips on budgeting and how to budget. Again, if you guys want a whole podcast episode once that launches, or if you guys want a whole YouTube video on that, let me know. But like I said, it is a big financial difference living alone versus with others, and so budgeting is really important. I would argue that really anytime you've reached the age of independence like this, budgeting is important. But for me, some basic principles I like to stick to is I like to always have 6 months of rent, and I basically save as much as I can, and I like to make back the money that I spend within a pretty quick turnaround. So that's what kind of works for me. I could go way more in detail, and I'm actually starting to learn way more about budgeting and investing and things like that, and it's something that I'm trying to work on in my life right now. But I'd say like 2 months from now, when I've done a lot more work in that area and grown in that, since I have only been living here for like 2 months, I will let you guys know exactly how I do budgeting and everything, and I could sit down with you guys and go through it, because I think it can be really helpful, and I think that money is something that should be more openly talked about, because it's something we all deal with and something that we all have to manage and understand, and it doesn't always have to be like so hush hush. So I could talk about that more in detail, but that's what I'll say for now. Number 2, did you ever consider living with a friend? How did you decide to live alone? So yes, I actually did. I thought about living with basically random roommates. There are people that one of my friends knew who needed a roommate, and I definitely considered that, because there are pros to it, like especially in college. Like, it's definitely much more of the social scene, and you're gonna have people to always go out with, things like that. If you live with others, like, you just always have that company. And especially with transitioning to transfer into a new college, I was like, maybe I should definitely like take advantage of this opportunity and just, you know, meet new people and throw myself out there. But I decided at the end of the day, I'd rather just meet new people and throw myself out there separate from my living situation, because for me, my like inner peace is just so important, and I feel like a big part of having peace for me is knowing like at the end of the day I get to unwind, be alone, and just like come here, and like my energy is the only one affecting me. Oh my gosh, that's a whole topic I could dive into. I'm trying to keep this quick, guys, but like once I start going in these split folds, like the best part of me being here is that I have complete control over my energy. I'm someone who always, the thing with roommates and what I had to consider is if somebody's in a bad mood, I want to fix it. I want to make them feel better. And that's not a bad trait to have, that I'm like kind of like a fixer, but that's kind of energy draining sometimes. And living alone, it's like, well, no one can be in a bad mood besides like me, so I'm not going to be, because I have complete control over like the energy in my space, and I try to just put all positive and good energy here, so that's what I feel here, and there's nobody else that's like contributing or having control over my moods or what I'm experiencing when I'm at my apartment. And so living alone just made more sense when that's a big priority for me. Prioritize your peace, and for me, my peace means having complete control over my energy. Okay, next question. Do you ever get freaked out at night? Sounds dumb, but I feel like that would be my biggest issue. Again, if you guys want to look at the information down below from today's sponsor, I don't have to get freaked out at night because I have a home security system. I also have pretty great security just in the apartment building I live in, so definitely pay attention to that. And also, I just kind of have trying to work on. I still struggle with it, not in this area but in other areas, but like stressing about things I can control. So I've done what I can control. I live in a building with great security. I have a security system, and with that, like, it's like, okay, I can go to bed with peace of mind at night because like I do what I can. I'm taking control of my security in the ways that I can. Okay, next question. Do you ever feel lonely or like you need to go use some of your social energy? Definitely yes. And when that happens, I FaceTime someone if I'm like need to be home because I'm doing something, or I just text a friend or or, you know, sometimes I'll just DM someone up Instagram who goes to my school and be like, want to go get coffee? A lot of times I'll text my best friend from high school goes here, and I'll be like, do you want to go get lunch? Whatever the case may be with that, and boom, fix. It's really not as hard to fix those lonely moods as we think sometimes. People who walk by my window have to be like, what is this girl doing? Next question is, do you miss not living with your family? Yes, I definitely do miss it sometimes. I recently was thinking about that, and that's a time period of my life I don't know if I'll get again, just going back and living with them. I've said that before though, when I moved back with them for a few months, but like I just think it was such a beautiful and great experience getting to be with my younger siblings again and just like be in my house with my parents. And it's such a carefree and like relaxing thing because you're basically being taken care of, almost like you're back to experiencing when you were more like a teen, which there's pros and cons to that, but I definitely am happy I have my own space and I'm living here. But that was such a great time period, and I'm so happy I got to go home and live with them for a while. Next question is, what's your favorite thing about living by yourself? Kind of just touched on this, but that I have complete control over like the mood and energy in my space. Next question, is it easier being that you have total control over your living space? So that goes with the energy aspect, but also this one's not like as important as the energy one, but I think it's in like having like the positive mood in my space. But also like I have complete control over how my space looks, and I love that. Like I can have it as clean as I want it to be. I can have whatever decor I want, and it's just all my stuff. And so overall the space just feels really me, and I do really love having control over that. Like that has been definitely something that I've enjoyed about living by myself. The last question is, does having a pet make it easier or harder living alone? So like I said, there's so many aspects to getting a pet: financial, mental, time-wise, but I just wanted to say in general, living alone for me, emotionally it makes it easier, but time-wise definitely is a bit harder just because my cat is like much more like a dog than most cats, and like she definitely demands a lot of my attention. Like sometimes it's hard to film because like she doesn't have somebody else to give her attention like she did when I had her back home with my whole family. So like it's definitely intentionally spending time with her every single day. I'll take her on a walk in the morning, I'll spend time with her in the living room at night, I'll lay down in bed with her and just rub her back, things like that. So definitely like time-wise, like you have to have the time to put into that animal, but overall I don't know that it makes it easier or harder living alone, but it makes me happier. Alright guys, so that's all for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I had so much fun sitting down and chatting with you guys about the experience of living alone in your 20s, because if you can't tell at this point, I am such a high promoter of it, and I think that it is so valuable of an experience and it's so great. So yeah, don't forget to check out the information from that sponsor down below, because I really think like honestly in whatever living situation you're in, this can be such a great thing. But yeah, I'll see you lovely sunflowers in my next video. Be sure to leave a thumbs up and a comment. It helps me so much. But yes, I'll see you guys in my next video.
Baby, shine through and come and save me. I've been missing, lady.